You open your refrigerator every day, several times a day, without knowing you're feeding something that should be dead. I know this sounds impossible, but by the end of this story, you'll understand why Padre Pio never allowed certain things near his kitchen, and why he left a specific method to break what your refrigerator is doing to your family right now. There's a vibration, a frequency few understand, emanating from your most used appliance, seeping into your food. Your water, the very air you breathe in your kitchen. Ever felt that strange chill when you open the fridge at night? That feeling of being watched for a few seconds? It's not paranoia, it's recognition. Your soul recognizes what your mind hasn't yet accepted. Padre Pio knew this. In 1958, he began receiving visits from people complaining of strange nightmares, always after moving into homes with new appliances, always related to the kitchen. He didn't speak of it publicly, but he left a method, a specific object, a precise prayer that breaks this connection in less than 3 days. But before I tell you what that method is, you need to understand what's happening in your home right now. The refrigerator isn't just an appliance, it's a portal. I know how you feel hearing this, the same resistance I felt when I discovered it. That voice in your head saying it's impossible. But let me ask you a question. Have you noticed how certain foods taste different after a few days in the fridge? I'm not talking about spoilage. I'm talking about something more subtle, like something has touched them, a metallic tang that shouldn't be there, a strange aftertaste. Or perhaps you've noticed how some people become more irritable after spending time in the kitchen, how arguments start out of nowhere when the family gathers to eat, how children become restless during meals. Even with their favorite foods, this isn't coincidence, it's consequence. Every refrigerator works through a cycle of compression and expansion, heat removed, cold created. But what science doesn't tell you is that this process creates something more, a specific vibration, a frequency that resonates precisely with certain entities that feed on life force. This frequency operates in a range between 50 and 60 hertz. The same frequency the human brain produces during states of emotional vulnerability. Think of the refrigerator as a heart, constantly beating, pumping, but instead of blood, it's pumping a frequency that attracts presences that should be at rest. Each cycle of the compressor is like a heartbeat, and these beats create invisible waves that spread throughout the entire house. That's why you sometimes feel that inexplicable chill when you pass by the kitchen. Your soul is detecting these waves. It's recognizing something that shouldn't be there. Padre Pio discovered this through a vision. He saw how certain houses had entry points, places where the veil between the physical and the spiritual was thinner. And the kitchen, specifically the refrigerator, was always one of these points. Because the refrigerator is always on, always vibrating, always creating a bridge. But there's a solution. A method Padre Pio developed specifically for this, and it's simpler than you imagine. You'll only need 3 things. 2 you already have at home. The third you can get today. The first is salt, but not just any salt. It has to be coarse sea salt, salt that still retains its original crystalline structure, because each crystal of salt is like a small prison for negative energies. The second is water, but water that has been blessed. Or water, you can bless yourself with a specific prayer Padre Pio used. The third is an object that will remain on top of your refrigerator forever, and that will break any connection that has already been established. But before I tell you what that object is, let me explain why it works. Padre Pio understood that certain entities feed on what he called the energy of need, the energy we release when we are hungry, thirsty, lacking. And where is this energy strongest? exactly where we store our food. The refrigerator becomes like a magnet, attracting not only what we want to consume, but also what wants to consume us. Have you ever had those days when nothing satisfies your hunger? You eat, but you still want to eat more, as if the food isn't truly nourishing you? This happens when your food has been energetically touched before it reaches you. But Padre Pio's method breaks this. It creates a barrier, a protection that works 24 hours a day. The object you will place on top of your refrigerator is a cross. But not just any cross. It has to be a wooden cross. Wood that grew from the earth, that maintains a connection with the earth element, which is the most stable of the elements. And this cross will be prepared in a specific way, a way that Padre Pio tested hundreds of times until he perfected it. First, you need to clean the cross completely. Use only running water, no soap or chemicals. The wood needs to be pure to receive the consecration. After cleaning, let the cross dry naturally. Don't use artificial heat. Don't use cloths. Let the air do the work. This may take a few hours, but it's essential. While the cross dries, prepare the sacred mixture. You will anoint it with the coarse sea salt mixed with 3 drops of holy water. But the proportion is important. Use 3 pinches of coarse sea salt. No more than that. Excess salt can create energetic resistance. The 3 drops of holy water should be added one at a time. Between each drop, you pause for 30 seconds. During this pause, you breathe deeply and visualize white light enveloping the cross. While doing this, you will repeat the prayer that Padre Pio created specifically for this protection, but the prayer should be said in a low voice, almost a whisper, as if you were sharing a sacred secret. The prayer is simple but powerful, because it has been tested thousands of times by people who are being affected exactly as you are being affected right now. Saint Michael the Archangel, protect this source of sustenance. May no energy that is not of God touch what nourishes this family. By the power of Christ, this house is sealed. You repeat this prayer 3 times while anointing the cross, then place the cross on top of the refrigerator, in the back, where no one will touch it. And then something happens. In the first 3 days, you may feel a subtle change, as if the air in the kitchen became lighter, as if the food had a purer taste. But what's really happening is much deeper. The cross creates a field of protection, an energetic barrier preventing any entity from using your refrigerator as an entry point. And Padre Pio knew this worked because he personally tested it in hundreds of homes. Families living in constant conflict. Houses where inexplicable illnesses always occurred. Children plagued by constant nightmares. All these situations improved after the protection was put in place. But there's an important detail. The cross needs to be renewed every 6 months. This means every 6 months you remove the old cross, give thanks for the protection, and place a new cross prepared in the same way. Because the protection works, but it absorbs negative energies. And after 6 months it becomes saturated. Padre Pio compared it to a water filter. After a while, the filter needs to be changed. Otherwise, it stops working. Now you might be wondering, how did Padre Pio discover this specific method? The answer will surprise you. In 1959, Padre Pio received a visit from a desperate Italian family. Their 8-year-old son had stopped eating. He simply refused to eat anything that came out of the refrigerator. The child said that something was wrong with the food, that it spoke to him when he tried to eat. The parents thought it was psychological trauma. They took the child to doctors, to psychologists. Nothing worked. When they reached Padre Pio, he looked at the child and said something that shocked the parents. The child is right. There is something wrong with the food. Padre Pio went to the family's house. He spent a whole hour just observing the kitchen. Then he asked to touch the refrigerator. The moment he placed his hand on the appliance, he felt something that made him recoil immediately. He later described it as a vibration that wasn't of this earth. It was at that moment that he developed the method of the cross. He prepared the first cross right there in the family's kitchen, placed it on top of the refrigerator, and asked them to wait 3 days. On the third day, the child ate normally for the first time in months. But the story doesn't end there. Padre Pio discovered that the problem wasn't just with that family. It was with all houses that had refrigerators. He began teaching the method to other people, always in secret. Always with the instruction not to speak publicly about it, because he knew people weren't ready to understand. But today, more than 60 years later, you are ready. Because you feel that something isn't right. You notice signs that others ignore. You are open to a solution that goes beyond common logic, and that solution is within your reach now. The wooden cross can be found at any religious goods store. It doesn't need to be expensive. It doesn't need to be large. It just needs to be made of real wood. Coarse sea salt can be found at any supermarket. The important thing is that it's coarse sea salt, not refined salt. Holy water you can get at any church. Or you can bless it yourself, using the prayer I taught you. But there's a crucial detail that Padre Pio always emphasized: intention. When you are preparing the cross, your intention needs to be clear. You are not performing a magical ritual. You are asking for divine protection for your family. You are creating a barrier between your home and forces that want to harm those you love. This difference in intention is what makes the method work. Padre Pio said that God protects those who protect themselves with faith. And the cross on top of the refrigerator is a demonstration of that faith. But perhaps you're wondering, why can't I simply bless the refrigerator directly? The answer is that the refrigerator needs to keep working. If you interfere directly with the appliance, you can create other problems. The cross acts as a filter. It allows the refrigerator to function normally but blocks unwanted vibrations. It's like having a silent guardian protecting your family 24 hours a day. And the protection is not limited to just food. Many people report that after placing the cross, the entire atmosphere of the house improves. Arguments decrease, children sleep better, even pets become calmer. This happens because the refrigerator was being used as an entry point. And when you block that point, you are protecting the entire house. But there's something more that Padre Pio discovered. Some houses have more than one entry point. And if your house is one of those, you will need additional protection. How to know if your house needs additional protection? There are signs that Padre Pio identified over the years. Stop for a moment, take a deep breath. Feel the air entering your lungs, because what I'm going to reveal to you now will completely change your perception of your own home. The first sign is what Padre Pio called nightly restlessness. Do you or someone in your family wake up between 2 and 3 in the morning for no apparent reason, always at the same time, with a strange feeling that you need to go to the kitchen? But pay attention to the details. It's not just waking up. It's waking up with specific thirst, a thirst that only kitchen water satisfies. Water from other places in the house doesn't quench this thirst. It's as if something is specifically calling you to that place. Or maybe it's hunger. But hunger for specific food that's in the refrigerator. And when you go there, sometimes you find the refrigerator door ajar, even though you're sure you closed it properly. This isn't thirst. It's not hunger, it's a calling. Entities that use multiple entry points create what Padre Pio described as paths of attraction. They literally call people close to the places where they are feeding. And they always do this between 2 and 3 in the morning, when our spiritual resistance is lowest. The second sign is plants. If you have plants in or near the kitchen, observe how they are. But don't just observe if they are dying. Observe strange patterns. Plants are extremely sensitive to energies. If your plants are dying inexplicably or growing strangely, this is a clear indicator. But there are more subtle signs. Leaves that always turn yellow on the side facing the refrigerator. Plants that lean away from the kitchen as if trying to escape. Or plants that grow excessively fast, but with malformed leaves. Padre Pio had a garden. He used to say that plants never lie about what they feel, and they always feel first. The third sign is animals. Does your dog or cat avoid the kitchen at certain times? Do your pets get restless when you're cooking? Or on the opposite end of the spectrum, do they become obsessively fixated on a specific corner of the kitchen? But look for more specific behaviors. Animals growling at the refrigerator. Cats refusing kitchen water even when dying of thirst. Birds ceasing their songs near the kitchen, or the opposite behavior. Animals becoming hypnotized by something in the kitchen. Standing still, gazing at a specific point for extended periods. As if they're seeing something you can't see. Animals see what we choose to ignore, and when they're trying to warn us, we pay attention to the wrong signs. If you've identified at least 2 of these signs, your home has multiple entry points, and that means you'll need what Padre Pio called a complete protection protocol. But even if you haven't identified any of these signs, the cross on the refrigerator is still necessary, because prevention is always better than cure. Now let me tell you about Maria Rossi. In 1963, Maria sought Padre Pio's help with a seemingly impossible situation. She lived alone in a small apartment in Naples. But every time she opened the refrigerator, she heard whispers. They weren't clear voices. They were like distant murmurs, as if someone was speaking from outside the window, but she lived on the 5th floor. At first, Maria tried to rationalize. Maybe it was the neighbors. Maybe it was the wind. Maybe it was the refrigerator itself creating auditory illusions, but the whispers had patterns. They happened whenever she was hungry, whenever she was emotionally vulnerable, and they seemed to respond to her movements. When she approached the refrigerator slowly, the whispers grew quieter. When she approached quickly, they became more urgent. Maria thought she was going mad, until her sister came to visit and also heard the whispers. Maria's sister was a nurse, a practical, scientifically minded person. She also tried to rationalize, checked for plumbing issues, asked the neighbors if they heard anything strange. No one else heard anything. But when the two were together in the kitchen, they both heard clearly. And even more disturbing, the whispers seemed to know there were 2 people there. The tone changed. It became more divided, as if 2 conversations were happening simultaneously. When Maria told Padre Pio, he didn't seem surprised. He simply asked, "How long have you had that refrigerator?" 6 months, Maria replied. "And how long have you not had a good night's sleep?" Maria was shocked, because it was exactly 6 months. She hadn't even made that connection before. "And how long have you been losing your appetite?" Padre Pio continued. Maria started to cry, because she had lost 26 pounds in the last 6 months. Doctors found nothing wrong. All tests were normal. Padre Pio went to Maria's apartment. He placed the prepared cross on top of the refrigerator. But he discovered that wasn't enough. Maria's apartment had what he called amplified resonance. Being small, the refrigerator's vibrations were intensified by the walls, like a sound box. And there was another problem. Maria's refrigerator was positioned in a corner, and corners are natural points of energy accumulation. So he developed the complete protocol. Besides the cross on the refrigerator, Maria needed protection in the 4 corners of the kitchen. and a specific method to cleanse the food that had already been affected. The complete protocol works like this. First, the cross on the refrigerator, exactly as I've already explained. Second, a small jar of coarse sea salt in each corner of the kitchen. The salt absorbs residual energies that may be circulating in the environment. Third, a specific prayer every time you cook. A prayer that creates a temporary barrier while you're preparing the food. And fourth, an energy cleansing ritual for the food that was already in the refrigerator when you put the protection in place. This last step is crucial because food that has already been energetically touched may continue to carry negative vibrations even after the protection is activated. The cleansing is simple. You'll need running water and coarse sea salt. Take each item from the refrigerator, run water over it, even if it's only symbolic. As you do this, visualize the water carrying away any energy that shouldn't be there. For items that can't get wet, like bread or packaging, you use a damp cloth with dissolved salt. It may seem laborious, but you only do this once. After the protection is activated, the new food that enters the refrigerator is automatically protected. Maria did the entire protocol, and on the first day, something interesting happened. The whispers got louder, as if they were protesting against the protection. Padre Pio had warned that this could happen. He called it exit resistance. Entities that are already established don't leave easily, but on the second day, everything went silent. And on the third day, Maria had the best night's sleep in 6 months. But Maria's story brings me to an important point. Not everyone will feel dramatic changes immediately. Some people are more sensitive, others are more resistant, but that doesn't mean the protection isn't working. Padre Pio used to say that protection works even when you don't notice. Because the goal isn't for you to feel the protection. The goal is for you to no longer feel the problem. It's like medicine for a headache. When the pain stops, you don't keep thinking about the medicine. You simply go back to living normally. The refrigerator protection works the same way. You may not notice dramatic changes, but you'll notice that certain things simply stop happening. Arguments in the kitchen will decrease. You'll feel more comfortable preparing food. Your family will have more of an appetite. Children will stop throwing tantrums at mealtimes. Small changes that together create a big transformation. But there's an aspect of Padre Pio's method that few people know. The intention of protection expands. When you place the cross on the refrigerator with the genuine intention of protecting your family, that intention spreads to other areas of the house. Padre Pio explained this using the metaphor of a stone thrown into water. The cross is the stone. The kitchen is where it falls. But the waves of protection spread throughout the entire house. This means that even if you have other entry points, protecting the refrigerator will create a general resistance that hinders the action of negative energies. It's like raising the protection frequency of the entire house. But there's a detail that Padre Pio always emphasized. The protection only works for those who live in the house. If you have frequent visitors, especially people who bring heavy energy, you may need additional reinforcements. Padre Pio developed a method for this as well. Once a month you'll do what he called a renewal of intention. It's simple. You go to the cross on the refrigerator, you place your hand on it, and you repeat the original prayer, but adding a line. Saint Michael the Archangel, protect this source of sustenance and all who partake here with love and respect. This additional line extends protection to well-intentioned visitors and renews the barrier against negative external influences. Now, let me tell you about Giuseppe Martelli. Giuseppe was a skeptical man, a mechanical engineer. He didn't believe in anything related to the supernatural. For him, everything had a scientific explanation. Everything could be measured, quantified, understood through logic. But his wife was desperate. The family was going through a terrible time. Constant illnesses that doctors couldn't explain, colds that lasted for weeks, headaches that appeared for no reason, digestive problems that came and went, small but frequent accidents, cuts while cooking, mild but recurring burns, plates falling from their hands without explanation, a general feeling that nothing was working, projects that failed, opportunities that were lost, as if the family were under a constant cloud of bad luck. Giuseppe analyzed everything scientifically. He changed the water. He checked for gas leaks. He tested the air quality. He changed their eating habits. Nothing worked. Giuseppe's wife had heard about Padre Pio's method through a friend. She begged him to let her try. Giuseppe resisted for weeks. He said it was medieval superstition, that it was escapism, that they needed scientific solutions, not primitive rituals. But when his youngest son was hospitalized for the third time in 2 months, this time for a severe allergic reaction to a food he had always eaten without problems, Giuseppe gave in. Giuseppe agreed, but only to prove it wouldn't work. He even told his wife, "Let's do this charade, and when it doesn't work, you stop with this nonsense and we look for real solutions." His wife put the cross on the refrigerator. She followed the protocol exactly as Padre Pio taught. Giuseppe mocked for 3 days. He made jokes. He said they were wasting time with magic. He questioned how a little piece of wood could solve problems that modern medicine couldn't. On the 4th day, he realized he had slept the entire night without waking up once, something that hadn't happened in months, but he rationalized it. Coincidence, he said. Stress that was lessening for other reasons. By the end of the first week, his youngest son, who had constant allergies, was breathing normally. The nighttime crises had stopped completely. Giuseppe began to get uneasy. He couldn't scientifically explain what was happening. By the end of the first month, Giuseppe admitted that something had changed, but he never used the word miracle. He never admitted it was because of the cross. He invented alternative explanations, a natural change in allergic cycles, improvement in air quality due to climatic reasons, reduction of family stress, creating a healthier environment. But he kept the cross on the refrigerator. He never fully converted, never became a religious person, but he kept the cross on the refrigerator. Because results speak louder than beliefs, and that's the beauty of Padre Pio's method. You don't need faith for it to work. Faith only potentiates the results. But even if you are skeptical, even if you are doing this just to try it, the protection still works. Because negative energies respond to intention, not belief. When you place that cross on the refrigerator, you are making a clear intention. This house is protected, and the universe responds to that declaration. But maybe you're wondering, does this work in apartments, in rented houses, in places where you can't make permanent changes? The answer is yes. The cross doesn't need to be visible. It can be hidden behind the refrigerator. The important thing is that it's there and that it has been prepared correctly. And if you move, you take the cross with you. The protection is portable. Padre Pio tested this personally. He gave prepared crosses to families who moved constantly, and the protection remained regardless of location. Because the protection isn't tied to the place. It's tied to the family. Now I'm going to teach you something that Padre Pio considered advanced, how to enhance the protection of the cross. Once a year, preferably on your birthday or wedding anniversary, you will recharge the cross. You remove it from the refrigerator, clean it with a damp cloth, and redo the entire preparation process. Coarse sea salt, holy water, prayer. But this time you add something, a drop of your own blood. I know this may sound extreme, but let me explain the logic. Blood carries your genetic essence, your family lineage. When you add a drop of your blood to the preparation, you are creating a direct connection between the protection and your family. Padre Pio discovered that crosses prepared with blood were up to 10 times more effective, but he only taught this for extreme cases, for families that were being intensely attacked. For most people, the basic method is more than sufficient. But if you feel you need extra protection, if you are living through very difficult situations, this is an option. The drop of blood can come from anyone in the family, but preferably from the head of the house. The person who has the most responsibility for family protection. You prick your finger with a sterilized needle, let a drop fall into the coarse sea salt, mix it with the holy water, and use this mixture to anoint the cross. The rest of the process is identical. But remember, this is only for special cases. For most situations, the basic cross completely solves the problem. Now I'll tell you the last story. In 1967, shortly before he died, Padre Pio received a visit from an American journalist. The journalist was writing a book about paranormal phenomena. He'd heard whispers about Padre Pio's protective methods. When he asked about the refrigerator, Padre Pio smiled. "You want to know why I developed this method?" Padre Pio asked. The journalist said yes. "Because God showed me the future. He showed me that one day, homes would be filled with machines that would make life easier, but also create doorways for what shouldn't enter. And he showed me that people would need simple protection anyone could apply without needing special knowledge. The cross on the refrigerator isn't just protection, it's a daily reminder that something greater is watching over you." The journalist asked if Padre Pio believed the method would work forever. "It will work as long as there is love in families," Padre Pio replied, "because protection comes from love, not the cross." This conversation was recorded and kept in the Vatican archives. It was only revealed 40 years later, but it reveals something fundamental about the method. The cross is just the symbol. What truly protects is the love you have for your family, the genuine intention to care for those you love. Padre Pio understood that spiritual protection doesn't work like a machine. You can't just push a button and expect results. The protection comes from the energy you put into the process. When you prepare that cross with genuine love, when you pray truly thinking about your family's safety, when you place it on the refrigerator with the pure intention of protecting those you love, it's that energy that creates the barrier. The cross is merely the conduit. The coarse sea salt is simply the purifier. The holy water is just the conductor. The real power comes from your heart. That's why the method works even for skeptics, because love transcends belief, because the genuine intention to protect someone is one of the most powerful forces in the universe. Giuseppe never became religious, but he loved his family deeply. And when his wife performed that ritual, she was channeling not only her own faith, but the love Giuseppe had for his children. Love he didn't know how to express through science. Love that found a channel through that wooden cross. And when you place that cross on the refrigerator, you are materializing that love. You are transforming care into protection. You are converting worry into action. It's an act of love disguised as a ritual. Padre Pio knew people needed something tangible, something they could touch, see, feel, because love is sometimes too abstract for our practical minds. But when you have that cross there, every day, you remember that someone is watching over, that there is active protection, that the love of your family has a physical manifestation, and that changes everything. It changes how you prepare the food. It changes how you serve your family. It changes how you feel in your own kitchen, because you know that space is protected by something greater than yourself, but also by yourself, by your own decision to put your family's protection first. So now you know. You know why your refrigerator might be affecting your family in ways you never imagined. You know how Padre Pio discovered this. You know exactly what to do to protect your home. And you know that this protection comes from the most powerful place there is, the love you have for your family. The choice is yours now. You can continue living as before, ignoring the signs, accepting that certain things just or you can act. You can get a wooden cross, coarse sea salt, holy water. You can say the prayer, you can anoint the cross, you can place it on the refrigerator, and you can discover what it's like to live in a truly protected home. Padre Pio used to say that miracles are just love applied correctly. Perhaps it's time for you to apply that love, because your family deserves to live in peace, deserves to eat with safety, deserves to sleep soundly, and now you have the knowledge to ensure when the cross is waiting for you, your family is waiting for you, and Padre Pio, wherever he may be, is hoping you make the right decision. Because in the end, it's not about believing or not believing in negative energies. It's about loving your family enough to protect them, and love always finds a way. Always.